Get my colleague to return to the dais, Ms. Albion. We'll get started here. Oh, there you are. Okay. Wow, I feel like this is truly a classroom. All right, well, good evening, everyone. I would like to call the meeting to order and announce that the board did meet in closed session and the following action was taken. Gabrielle Bahar was appointed vice principal of Albiani Middle School. Alan Williams for Las Flores Continuation High School and the Elk Grove Virtual Academy. And Ms. Melanie Dobson, our new Director of Secondary Education. I would also like to announce that tonight's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. I would like to announce that there are blue cards available at the table just outside of the boardroom for anyone who wishes to address the board. If you do wish to address the board, please complete the card and hand it to the staff person at the right of my side. Please be sure to complete the card indicating whether the matter you wish to address is on the agenda or not on the agenda. If the matter is on the agenda, we will assume you wish to speak when that item comes up and will hold your card until that time. First up, we do have our Pledge of Allegiance, and I have the honor of recognizing a fantastic family. So at this time, I would like to call forward Mr. and Mrs. Ferriulo, along with our Vice Principal, Ms. Drina Freeman, from Stone Lake Elementary School. All right, Stone Lake Elementary School is honored to recognize two truly amazing parents at tonight's board meeting, Mr. and Mrs. Ferriulo. The Ferriulos have been Stone Lake parents since 2005 and are the proud parents of Olivia and Elena. Olivia attended Stone Lake Elementary from kindergarten through 6th grade and is currently a sophomore at Franklin High School. Elena currently finishing her 6th grade year at Stone Lake Elementary. Mr. and Mrs. Ferriulo personify what it means to be connected and involved parents. They both have served numerous positions on the Stone Lake PTO board, spearheaded countless school events, helped referee basketball games, served on the superintendent's parent advisory committee, and helped make Teacher Appreciation Week special for their staff. Mrs. Ferriulo has turned our block fair into a hallmark event for school, and her hard work, creative mind, and dedication will leave an undeniable mark at the school. Mr. and Mrs. Ferriulo's helping hand extends to a broader community as well. Mrs. Ferriulo is the Director of Children's Ministries at Sungrove Church, where she works to provide the children's program for kids from birth to 5th grade. One of Mrs. Ferriulo's co-workers used one word to describe her: amazing. In closing, the word amazing perfectly describes this family, but our teachers shared some additional superlatives to describe them: generous, incredible, cheerful, positive, enthusiastic, instrumental, committed, and invested. Two of our teachers summed up their investment in our school by simply stating that they raised the bar for parent participation, strengthened the atmosphere of the school, and became one of the pillars of Stone Lake Elementary School. Great schools need great students, great teachers, and great families. Stone Lake has been fortunate to have such a great family be part of the school for the last 11 years. The Ferriulo family will be missed but not forgotten, and the entire Stone Lake family thanks them for their invested service to our school. Congratulations.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you like to say anything?
I just want to say that we just feel really blessed to live in this community, and have these educators that have really invested in the lives of our kids and the lives of kids at Stone Lake, and we have received such an amazing education our kids have, and it's been a blessing to serve that school and to continue to serve the other schools in this community. We're just really thrilled. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations once again. Just a little token of our appreciation to you. Thank you so much. All right, we'll gather here. Of course.
Hey, Bobby. Oh, shit.
We got it. All right, next up we have our high school representative reports. First up, Laguna Creek.
Good evening. Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Allie Deppes.
And my name is Noah Major, and we are pleased to be here to give a final report about all the exciting things happening at Laguna Creek.
We are coming to the end of the school year, and everyone is enjoying these last few weeks. The senior countdown has begun, and they are looking forward to all the end-of-the-year events they have planned before graduation. They are currently preparing to go on their Disneyland trip on the 22nd. We are very busy this last month preparing for junior-senior ball, starting out with Prom Expo. Prom Expo is where vendors come out and put on a fashion show to show the students their different styles of attire. This year, Men's Warehouse and Sophie's Boutique took part in our event and dressed the students that were going to walk on the runway. It was a big success. All the students involved had a lot of fun. On April 9th was our junior-senior ball. This year was masquerade theme. Congrats to our junior prom king and queen, Elizabeth Grossma and Shaft Brewer. Another congrats to our senior ball king and queen, Hannah Westfall and Micah Estes. Last month we had our first ever boy-girl rally, where the two sides took part in some fun games. Each side would win when they would receive a point. It was a very close competition. Both sides did really well, but the girls won by 1 point. Recently, Laguna went to the new elementary school, Marion Mix, and put on a mini assembly for the students. We used games to teach them all about anti-bullying. It was a really fun way to connect with our local elementary school. Spring sports are taking place, and all our teams are hard at work. Our swim team is undefeated and determined to bring home another Metro Conference League banner for our school. They are hard at work preparing for Champs, which is April 29th through 30th. Our baseball team has only lost one game this season and recently played at Raleigh Field on March 25th, beating Rodriguez 7-2. Boys volleyball has had a great season so far, enjoying quite a few wins, including a win against McClatchy, 3-0. Track and field also brought home a banner last year and hoping to do so again this year. They had many great runs at the Stanford Invitational, making it to finals for every race they ran. Girls soccer is currently #1 in the league and working hard to continue that. Boys tennis has also had a great season so far. They played very hard at the Boss tournament, beating Roseville 7-2. Our softball team is hard at work. They are currently 9-2 and just played really well in a tournament last week. Our boys golf is working hard, recently beating Burbank by 1 stroke. We are very excited to see how our spring sports finish their seasons.
In these past few months, Laguna's various academies and programs have been hard at work and have had many exciting events. Our Manufacturing Production Technology Academy was recently featured on the news for their unique style of the academy. Our Green Energy Technology Academy, as well as our Sports Career Academy, had field trips to take a break from their hard work this semester and grow in their skills for the academy. Our Spanish program also recently took a field trip open to any student enrolled in a Spanish class, where they went to San Francisco to see art displayed from Spanish artists. Our art program has also been very busy recently with Arts Impact, where elementary school students come visit Laguna Creek to see all the fun and exciting electives we have to offer. Dance has been very busy as well with their annual recital, where students from Dance 1, Dance 2, and IB Dance showcase their skills in a collection of pieces performed in front of family and friends. The the Infinite Motion Dance Company also had their annual main stage performance live, and as usual, it was spectacular. They worked hard to showcase a multitude of pieces for 3 nights. Theater has been busy as well, preparing for their spring play performed in March, as well as their Theater 2 showcase. During the final stretch of the school year, Laguna Creek has many important and exciting upcoming events. First off, we have another Bring Your Parent to School lunch day, where students invite their parents to come enjoy lunch with them at Laguna Creek this Friday, the 22nd. During that same day, we are having our first ever college signing day, where students attending universities and trade schools after graduation will be recognized during lunch. Also coming up, we have our Color Splash Dance, which was introduced last year, where students are encouraged to wear white, and at the beginning of the dance, color powder is thrown in the air for a fun and colorful commencement. Our Infinite Motion Dance Company has their spring showcase coming up on April 22nd. Yet another upcoming event is our annual spring choir concert coming up on May 4th, where our wonderful choir members have the opportunity to show friends and family their amazing voices. Our parents will be recognized at our annual Parent Volunteer Recognition Night this May 2nd. Other important events coming up are our IB and AP testing, which begin in May. Our students are studying and practicing hard for these difficult exams in hope of gaining college credits. As usual, it is a pleasure presenting the news of Laguna Creek, and since this has been my final presentation, I would like to thank you all for the opportunity to present with you all of the exciting events at Laguna Creek over the past few years. I am very grateful to do so. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Great report. Thank you for your participation in this program. All right, next up we have Pleasant Grove High School.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Max Creech, and I'll be representing Pleasant Grove High School. Unfortunately, my partner Kate, she is sick tonight, so I will be flying solo on this presentation. Pleasant Grove's fourth and final quarter has flown by so far. Although we anticipate summer and graduation, we're sad to say goodbye to our senior Eagles. In the past few months, our school has put on numerous events. Sole Purpose, our school dance team, has performed their annual spring showcase titled Life Happens. It was a chance for all the members to show off their talents. The showcase lasted about 2 hours with a variety of dances from b-boying to contemporary. This year, the seniors in Sole Purpose will also put on their senior showcase, which is a last hurrah for all the seniors in Sole Purpose to perform together as a class. They're preparing for next year with their auditions next week, if any of you want to try out for Sole Purpose. Overall, our dance team has worked very hard and continues to amaze the students at PG with every rally and showcase. Last month, Pleasant Grove held its annual Battle of the Sexes rally. This rally included lots of games, competitions, and a huge scoreboard to keep track of all the scores. While it seems that the guys dominated in tug-of-war in the strength-based games, the girls pulled through with their spirit in the last game of the rally to beat the guys. At the end, our winter percussion band performed and danced for everyone in attendance. A few weeks ago, our theater program presented The Wiz. The production showcased numerous and talented singers and actors with Danielle Box, Alex Joe Monday, and Kent Navarrete with crucial roles. The play was put on with the help of the middle school theater program as well. It was a chance for the 8th graders to see what's in store for them in high school theater. The Wiz also involved Sole Purpose to add some high energy to their play environment. On March 31st, Hallie Reyes and Kate Charisma hosted their final Unity Day of the year. Because it's the last Unity Day of the year, we encourage the students to sign up and participate before they graduate. It was a huge success and there was high energy from the beginning of the day. The goal of Unity Day is to unite students despite differences and bring understanding to our campus. This goal was achieved because of the welcoming and comfortable atmosphere that Unity Day leaders helped to create. Students are given the opportunity to share and discuss their personal opinions of various activities, and we are able to express ourselves in an open environment free from judgment. Both leaders and participants left Unity Day with a gained knowledge, understanding, and friendships. In other news, our athletes have continued to impress Pleasant Grove as well as the community with their performances. Our varsity baseball team, as well as our varsity softball team, have performed extremely well in their leagues. Pleasant Grove as a whole is filled with many talented athletes who continue to impress colleges around the United States. Students such as Nicole Nickerson, Sienna Young, Sawyer Sobelman, and Erica Sullivan all received scholarships from various colleges, along with many other Pleasant Grove athletes from colleges such as Cal Poly, St. Mary's, and many more. One alumni we are particularly proud of this past couple months is Marquise Chris. He is entering the draft for the NBA after 1 year at University of Washington and is projected to be drafted around the top 10. All the athletes at PG continue to impress, and we couldn't be more proud of our spring season. Along with our sports teams, our academic teams and mathletes have been successfully finishing their year. This last weekend, our Science Olympiad completed their last showcase and brought home 6 medals from various events. This Saturday, our senior ball will be at the Hyatt Hotel in downtown Sacramento. Almost every senior will be on the dance floor, dancing and having a good time. This year's theme is Party at Gatsby's, where many of our students will dress to impress. This theme will add an elegant twist to our dance. This year, so many seniors have bought tickets that our venue has actually filled up for dinner. Overall, the night should be a hit and a perfect way to initiate the beginning of their senior year. Other upcoming senior goodbye events include our senior goodbye rally, senior sunset, and finally, graduation. We all anticipate the goodbye rally. This will include performances by cheer and their stunt team, which is comprised of our cheerleaders and senior boys, which is quite funny. Soul Purpose will be performing for their last time this year, and there will be a senior slideshow, which is sure to bring lots of tears, as it always does. As the school year closes, we reflect on the wonderful time we had during this year and anticipate the new adventures that senior year will bring. Kate and I have loved representing our school this year and will proudly continue next year. Thank you so much.
Excellent report. Thank you. Okay, we'd like to recognize our great principals. Doug Craig, principal at Laguna Creek High School. And Mr. Hank Meyer, principal at Pleasant Grove High School. All right, students, thank you very much for your report. You may be excused and go study, do some homework. All right, next up, we have our recognition of Western Festival poster contest winners, Ms. Zanthi Pinkerton, and assisting, Mr. Perez.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, and members of the board, and Superintendent Hoffman and Ms. Avalos. I have the pleasure of introducing to you tonight Ms. Isla Huster. She's the chairperson of the poster contest for the Western Festival. So I'll introduce her.
Great.
She'll introduce the winners.
Hello. Our third place winner is not here, and that is Alexander Weimar, and I have a check for him for $50. Our second place winner is Jeremy Marr. Please come up, Jeremy, and show them your poster. I have a check for him for $100. And our first place winner, and I have to say we had 50 entries this year. That is the most ever, and I've been on the board of directors for 8 years for this contest. Great. So our first place winner, Justin Parker, should be very proud of yourself. Here's a check for $200.
All right.
And I'd like to say that Jeremy and Justin's teacher, Aaron Wright, is also here this evening.
Wonderful. Please join us for the photograph. Thank you. And parents, feel free to come closer and get those great, memorable photographs.
No, I thought you would come over here on this side.
Holding a poster. I don't know about you.
Seems like Jake brings home.
Come on,
All right, congratulations. Okay, next up, we have our 2016 moot court and mock trial Sacramento County and state competition. I'd like to call on Mr. Tony Limoges and assisting Ms. Nancy Titus Espinosa.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. This evening, the Board of Education is asked to recognize and congratulate students from Elk Grove High School for their participation and achievement in the 2016 Sacramento County and State Mock Trial Competition. The board also is asked to recognize the attorneys and teacher coaches who assisted the team in preparing for this academic competition. The 37th Annual Gordon D. Shaver Sacramento County Mock Trial Competition was held on February 2016. The mock trial competition simulates a trial-level proceedings in which students portray the roles of pretrial counsel, prosecuting and defense attorneys, witnesses, court clerks, bailiffs, and jurors before a single presiding judge and 2 scoring judges. It also includes courtroom art and courtroom journalism competitions. High schools throughout the Sacramento region were invited to participate in these competitions. This year's competition involved 18 teams representing 7 high schools from Sacramento, El Dorado, and Yolo counties. Volunteers from local law firms and other legal organizations served as scoring and presiding judges for the 5-day event. 5 of 9 EGUSD comprehensive high schools, Elk Grove, Franklin, Laguna Creek, Monterey Trail, and Sheldon, participated in this year's competition. Elk Grove High School was the winner of the 2016 Gordon D. Shaver Mock Trial Competition and went on to represent Sacramento County at the California Mock Trial Competition held in Sacramento on March 18th through March 20th. The board is asked to recognize the members and coaches from Elk Grove High School for medals and or team leadership awards received during the Sacramento County Mock Trial Competition. So I'm going to start this evening by announcing to you the coaches for the team, 2 that are with us. First of all, our teacher coach, Coach Dave Hill. And our attorney coach who is here with us this evening is Mr. Rick Lukowitz. Now I have the pleasure of announcing the team and any awards that they may have won as a result of the competition. Our first team member is Leanne Bernales. Ajane Cervantes. Sofia Gargiulo. McKinley Hutchings. Cameron Kirk. Cameron received the Outstanding Bailiff Award. Angelo Lopez. Evan Lovell. Evan received the Outstanding Attorney Award. Christopher Myers. Odesawa Osunde. Ryan Spieler. Ryan was the recipient of the Outstanding Pretrial and Witness Award. Pablo Suarez. And Mallory Thugmartin. I'd like to also take a moment to acknowledge the principal of Elk Grove High School who is with us here this evening, Miss Kathy Guy. And a final congratulations to the Elk Grove Mock Trial team. Thank you.
All right, parents, this is your opportunity to come down and take those memorable shots, photos. I'm going to give a shout out to our former colleague, was also a coach, Mr. Jake Rambo, who's not here this evening. Congratulations once again. You've set the bar really high, literally. All right, next up we have our athletic recognition. I'd like to call on Mr. Rod Edmiston, and assisting, I'd like to ask Ms. Crystal Martinez-Aleri.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the school board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Tonight I am honored to introduce you a very special team, the Elk Grove High School girls basketball team. They finished the year as the CIF NorCal Division II girls basketball champions and the CIF Division II girls basketball state runner-up. This group of young ladies finished the season with a 24-11 record. The girls entered the CIF playoffs as the number 12 seed and played all their games on the road. In capturing the CIF NorCal Championship, they defeated number 5 seed Agalanes 59-46, number 4 seed Pleasant Valley 56-45, number 1 seed Vanden 69-63, and by defeating Vanden on their home court, they snapped the Vikings' 59-game home court win streak. And finally, in the NorCal Championship game, they defeated Sac High for the championship 46-45. The Elk Grove girls basketball team's amazing run ended in the state championship game as they lost to Cajon 55-36. This team was the first Elk Grove girls basketball team to play in a state championship game. This group of young ladies not only excelled on the court but also in the classroom, as they were recipients of the Winter GPA Award for having a team GPA of 3.55, and they were unable to be here that night because they were in a playoff game. With that, it is my honor to introduce to you head coach Larry Price. And but just a little tidbit of this. This was, Larry's been a coach for many years in our district, but this is his first year coaching at Elk Grove High School. So it's my honor to introduce to you head coach Larry Price of the 2015-16 championship Elk Grove girls basketball team, who will announce his coaches and athletes.
I'm not really good at this, so bear with me. Thank you, thank you. I'd like to introduce my assistant coach, who helped me along the way. Very special to the young ladies at Elk Grove High School, David Crawford. Lady Hurd, Elk Grove Lady Hurd, Peyton Demps. Sydney Kilbride. Tiara Martin. Farah Nan. Mira Schumann. I like to say that Mira Schumann was the SAC B Player of the Year also. Ashley Williams, and I miss her already. She's a senior. Captain and Miss Everything, Madison Wong.
All right, parents, I know you're enthusiastic. Please come join us for those photographs. Well deserved.
And I'd also like to acknowledge tonight the principal of Elk Grove High School, Kathy Guy.
All right. Indian education.
Congratulations again, girls. Thank you.
Okay, and excellent. Next up, we have our Elk Grove Unified School District Science Fair and Invention Convention winners. Mr. Ray Peterson and assisting Ms. Albiani.
Thank you. If I could have the Science Fair winners and inventors gather right there on the side by the double doors. You can hang out right there. Parents, you can go with them if you want, if they're tiny. Okay. Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Good evening. How's everybody? I am so happy to announce the Elk Grove Unified School District is full of amazing scientists and inventors. There's great hope for our future here because of these amazing kids. On April 6th, over 152 science fair projects were brought to this boardroom, and over 17 inventions were brought here. These projects represented the grade level winners from individual science fair site competitions, and they were judged by a panel of scientists and teachers on April 7th. And we're here tonight to recognize them and to honor them and say keep going in science, because it's an amazing accomplishment. Our first person we'd like to bring up is Caroline Fong from our kindergarten first place winner from Elliott Ranch Elementary School. Our next scientist is Hannah Coates, first grade winner from Franklin Elementary School. And Caitlin Campbell, our second grade winner, could not be here this evening. But our third grade winner is Caitlin Snyder from Elliott Ranch Elementary School. Our fourth grade scientist in our district, the winner is Alex Kemp from Arlene High. Winning in fifth grade in our science fair is Natalie Valdez from Anna Kirchgater Elementary School. And from our sixth grade from Elliott Ranch Elementary School is Caitlin Leong Bob. Our middle school team couldn't be here this evening from James Rudder Middle School, but I'd like to acknowledge them before you, is Diana Herr, Alyssa Hong, and Laura No. Thank you. They should be congratulated as well. Our high school winner from Elk Grove High School, McKenna Feaster. Now for our invention convention. There was a group of kids, 17, that built something in our prototype division and said, look at our inventions, they work. You know, so they were judged in three categories. Our K through third prototype winner from James McKee Elementary School, Sarah Wilbur. So she's being approached by a chiropractor to refine the design, and he hopes to market it. So that's a cool thing. So she
Get that trademarked.
Yeah, that's cool. So our fourth through sixth grade prototype division winner is Sarah Null. This is falling out. So. And our middle school prototype winner from Elizabeth Pinkerton Middle School is Donaldo Wilson. Good job. All right. Good job. Good job. So if there's their teachers or their administrators from their school would like to join them behind the stage for a photo opportunity. And this is our presentation. Thank you. Thank you. It's time to take a picture.
All right, once again, parents are invited to come close and get those amazing photographs. And ER is represented in the house as a former ER mom. Congratulations. Great, great work. All right, next on the agenda We have our student expulsion recommendations, request for student expulsions. I would like to ask if anyone wishes to address the board in closed session regarding a student expulsion recommendation. Seeing none, I will call for a motion to approve the request for student expulsions.
I approve the request for student expulsions.
We have a motion to approve for Mr. Fortuna. Second, Ms. Albiani. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Next up, we have public comment. We do have a number of speakers signed up, so I have grouped them under categories just to make it easier to manage. So first up, we are going to be addressing VAPA. And I'd like to remind the speakers you have 3 minutes. And first up, we have Carrie Flores.
Sorry, I was making the long way from the back. My name is Carrie Flores, and I am a parent here in the Elk Grove Unified School District. I have a son at Franklin, actually 2 boys at Franklin, and a daughter at Toby Johnson. I'm here specifically to speak about VAPA, and the perception that music specifically isn't very well supported by our district. Our band fundraises constantly throughout the year to support it, about a $50,000 program each year to make it run, and it's an amazing program for our students. My son, my oldest boy, who's a senior, would not have had the high school experience he's had without the band program. We feel that there's an inequity, that our sports are supported and promoted, and the music program doesn't get any recognition at all. We pay for buses to events, and we are under the impression that athletic teams do not. During our winter drumline season, we are constantly begging parents to come and carpool our kids to our events, to which we are at schools hours away all day long from morning until night. We're aware that there's new athletic turf fields being put in, and yet we can barely support getting new instruments, getting instruments repaired. We struggle to get gym use on weekends and during the week. We are pushed out to allow athletics to come in and use the gym, and especially during our winter program, we're in desperate need of using the gym to practice because that's where the kids ultimately perform. We're aware that athletics have codes to just get into the gymnasiums on the weekends, where we are dependent on having a custodian, to which then we pay, to be able to use the gym on off times. We host probably 20 fundraisers a year to get our program sustained barely. We're coming up to the end of our year now, and we're struggling with paying some of our bills. We host a fireworks booth where our families put in 310 hours each year to get that fireworks booth run. Our band families work River Cats. We probably work 900 hours a River Cats season to bring in money to help us keep our band program running. And our kids get scholarships. We have students who've had full rides to UOP, William Jessup University, and Roberts Wesleyan College. And you don't hear about it. And these kids are amazing, and the music that they play is wonderful. I can personally say that I spent from November until about February sewing costumes for our winter drumline program just to help us save some money. So if on any level, any support from VAPA can come back to our schools and specifically to our band program, we would love it. And you'll see it in the kids and their faces and the music that they produce. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next up, we have Richard Diltz. Forgive me if I'm butchering your last name.
Good evening, and thanks for letting me speak. First, I want to say thank you. We just moved to Elk Grove a day before the school year started last summer, and we moved specifically to this area because we know that Elk Grove has excellent schools, and we wanted to be a part of that. So we appreciate that. However, our experience has been that the music program, which is incredibly important to our family, just is not getting nearly the support it needs or the support I think it deserves compared to all the other excellent programs you have going in this district. you probably all know that there's multiple academic scientific studies that prove that a music education increases your scores in science, in math, in language arts, all across the board. You cannot lose by investing more in the music departments and the music programs. It also has social benefits. You've got a lot of kids who maybe aren't physically adept and maybe not great at sports, but they get into an arts program or a band program and they get that same sense of teamwork, of community, that ability to work together as a group. I might also point out that in today's economy, our arts and music in the United States is one of our biggest and best exports. It's one of the most important job sectors we have and one of the few places that are growing as opposed to shrinking in so many of the other areas. So it's vitally important for that reason as well. One thing that's especially important to me, is the mental health aspect. I've got a daughter who deals a lot with anxiety and depression issues, and a young man at her school recently committed suicide. Music programs and arts education is incredibly valuable to these kids. A lot of them are poor. They can't afford to participate in the programs. Our elementary school program costs us $70 a month for instrument rental and to pay a private instructor to come in because the school can't afford an elementary program, and without an elementary program, they can't go on to excel in junior high and high school compared to all the other kids. And it's just not right. The benefits for kids with anxiety, kids with depression, kids who are considering suicide, it's immense. A friend of mine is a teacher back east. She does choir, and she tells us every other week or so about kids coming to confide in her because they feel safe within that music program where they don't necessarily feel safe in the rest of their school. And for that reason alone, I think it's incredibly important that you fund this and fund it fully. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Laura Delight. Fabulous last name.
Good evening. Thank you for the time and the experience of being able to speak. My name is Laura Delight, and I am actually a product of the district's performing arts programs, specifically the band, choir, and theater programs at Sheldon High and Smedberg Middle School. I stand before you currently an educator in our district and someone who is also working on her master's degree and her credential. You know, I could present you facts and state standards and statistics, and I could, and they'd be true and they'd be important and you know, they'd be great evidence, but I'd rather spend my 3 minutes telling you about my experience. From band, I learned that anything worth doing was worth doing well. From educators like Mrs. Soulier, oh, excuse me, I'm like shaking. From Natasha Soulier and James Mazzaferro, they showed me that no matter what part I was playing, each individual note was integral to the success of an entire group. I also learned gems like the shortest pencil is better than the longest memory. And thank you, Mr. Mazzaferro, I always have a writing utensil. From Stafford Abear, my choir director, I learned that passion does not always have to be loud to be heard. This came through not only in the music we created together, but also in his presence as an instructor and a director. He showed us by example and taught us that that enjoyment was an important part of our success on a daily basis. As a member of Sheldon's Advanced Theater program, I learned that authenticity is essential to any performance and that it's true what Shakespeare wrote, all the world is a stage. Of course, these are not the only lessons I've learned, but they're ones that I use every day in the classroom and in the teen program I run at the animal shelter for our county. I would spend way more than 3 minutes even telling you a tiny bit of what I've taken away from my education in the arts. I know I said I wanted to speak to my experience personally, but also I work mostly at Rudder Middle School, and I see firsthand that arts are a window to our world. And without this, how can we even tell the kids that social equity is something that they can achieve? I see the growth and the interest and the spark in my students that I didn't see before they picked up an instrument or before they got the success of being on stage and showing everyone what they could do. In my opinion, the arts contributed to everything else that I've ever done in education and continue to do in education, and they're incredibly important. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sharon Karpinski.
Thank you. I'm here on behalf of the parents and the students of Cosumnes Oaks High School and Elizabeth Pinkerton Middle School. I'm the band booster president for those programs. I also have two students that have been in the district since kindergarten, so I'm well aware of the district and the schools and programs. But I think it's really important to look at the music programs and the VAPA programs. These teach our students so much more than what they can get from a textbook. It teaches them a commitment, a family, a dedication, discipline, and it gives them something that they might not fit into any other program at school. It's had a lasting impression on my two students, one of which is now a freshman at Sac State. The boosters, I know at all of our schools, we do our best. We do everything we can to fundraise to keep music alive in our schools, but we can't do it anymore. Our budgets are at least $50,000 a year, and we're fundraising for that. When we should be fundraising for Disneyland and fun trips, we're paying for music. That is the children's textbooks. We're paying for instruments, instrument cleaning and repair. That's their desk. We're paying for transportation fees. We're paying for uniforms, cleaning, repairs, and we can't do it anymore. We can't continue to fund for something that is such an important part of our children's futures and lives. You know, we're here, we're asking for your support. In 3 days, we have families here from almost every high school in the district. And we have, you know, we're here, we're asking for your support. You have ours. Please give us something, some of your support to make these programs stay in our children's lives. It's a federal mandate now that music is in the schools, K through 12. We need teachers that are credentialed music teachers to teach these children, to teach these students and high school students so that they can go on. I think every one of us listens to music at some kind, and it is such an important part of our life. You've heard stories from families, students that have been here. My daughter would be here tonight, but she's in class. Please help us save our music programs for our schools. It is such an important part of our lives and their lives. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sherry Hopner.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the time. I am Sherry Hopner. I'm a Laguna Creek High School band parent. I've been a past band booster, and I also teach VAPA at Joseph Sims Elementary School, which I know is unique to our district. I'm the only VAPA teacher that I know of in elementary school, and that is funded completely by the PTO. So along with VAPA for high school, I mean, I've been part of the band boosters at Laguna Creek for, this is my 6th year. I have a daughter who's a junior and a son who's now currently a freshman at UC Davis. I cannot tell you what band has meant to my personal kids. It has given them a home, especially my son when he went from Joseph Sims to Harriet Eddy. Not a lot of kids from Sims were going to Eddy at that time. I was very concerned about that transition, and I basically said, you have to take band. He was like, oh, Mom. And later said to me, Mom, that was the best thing you ever made me do. It became his love. He did band all through middle school, high school, and is currently in the marching band at UC Davis. So music lives on. It has taught my kids discipline, hard work, dedication, group activities, cooperating with people. And the thing is, as many of the other speakers have said, the parents are breaking their backs trying to fund and keep this going. We see the value of this for our kids. This is part of, educating our whole child, not just academics and pushing academics, but giving them creative outlets for them to shine in different ways. It's why Joseph Sims PTO has funded me as a teacher for 4 years now, because they see that some of the kids are never going to shine academically, but in VAPA they can. They can be the star. Please, I just ask that you give any support that you can towards the band programs, towards VAPA arts, any art education that you can help fund. You will be investing in the future. I just read today a statistic that 66% of medical students are band students. I mean, that's amazing. These are people who are going on to successful lives and careers, and we need to keep investing in them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Ayana Mitchell.
Good evening, board members. My name is Ayana Mitchell. I am a mom of 4. They either currently or have been within the Elk Grove Unified School District. And I am an active member currently at the Monterey Trail High School Booster Club. And I am currently the uniform coordinator and have been for 2 years. Band, when my son was 5, I was told by administrators and staff that I need to look for an alternative route for him because they did not feel that he would be able to go to college. He would be a special needs student for the rest of his schooling. I gave up my career or put it on hold as an engineer because I refused to buy into that. My son has been bullied or was bullied for many years. Unfortunately, it's sad that students have to deal with bullying, but it does exist. My son was a part of the band. I made sure that he was a part of it. It gave him a sense of family at school. It gave him something to look forward to every day. I saw his self-esteem grow. His education improved. It gave him something that was taken away. I am proud to say that my son now is currently enrolled in college and does take classes in music. I am so proud of him, and it is because of band that he was able to do that, along with helpful mom, grandparents, dad. All of my other kids are also enrolled in the band program or will be next year. We need your support. The band booster parents spend lots of time, lots of personal money. I have personally had to lease my students, my kids, instruments. And it was a sacrifice that I made because I knew it was important for them to be a part of the band program. It was a big financial sacrifice to make sure that they were able to go on the trips, go to the competitions. We need your support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, we have Sophie Brown.
Hi, my name is Sophia Brown. I am a home mom of a firefighter paramedic. I chose to stay home to raise my son, and I'm here today to discuss why we need better funding for music in schools. Students who are enrolled in band typically do better in school. My son, since starting band last year as a 9th grader, has improved his study habits, his focus, his attention. I have another friend who has a learning attention issue with her son. He is also gaining focus. It calms him down, helps him concentrate. Both boys are playing multiple instruments since picking up their first one. My son plays flute, ocarina, he's starting to play piano, piccolo, trumpet, and a few other things. Piano's been in my house since he was 5 years old, and he's now playing the piano. Monterey Trail High School Band consists of over 100 students. Our director there only gets a couple $100 a year to fund those 100 students. That's less than $5 per student for 4 terms of band. That includes marching band, concert band, symphonic band, jazz band. That stipend he's given at the beginning of the year doesn't even cover the cost of music for 1 term. The rest of it comes from the band boosters. We pick up things, as Ms. Mitchell said, she sews the uniforms. Band boosters have to come up with the funds to clean those uniforms. Band boosters comes up with the funds for the buses. Band boosters pays for repairs. We pay for the competitions, the expense of the music itself. If we want to have coaches to help with marching band, we have to fund those as well, because it's hard to find someone who's going to help them out on a volunteer basis. Monterey Trail Band Group is becoming an award-winning band, and improved funding is vital to help us do more. Our first year of marching band competition this year, we placed 2nd in one of our competitions. At the Redwood Empire, we were the top concert band that day. A lot of students don't join band because of the cost of instruments. A flute is $1,000. If there's not enough instruments, the parents and the families have to fund that. And if your kid wants to play more than 1 instrument, you have to have multiple contracts. That is a huge burden on parents. Please give us more funding to support these students, to help them help themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the last speaker we have on this item, subject matter, is Jose Sanchez.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to express what all the other parents are saying here tonight. We all are on the same page of want and need financially. We all will echo the same exact needs. One thing I want to share with you, what music does for a lot of these students, is the opportunity that it gives them. Last year, Monterey Trail High School was the first time we were able to take the band to Disneyland. That sounds kind of trivial to a lot of people. Yeah, they went to Disneyland. But no, it was a first for so many different things. For as long as that school has been open, no band has ever been able to travel outside of Elk Grove. Last year with the trip, there was a lot of firsts for students leaving their home out of town. The first time going to the beach. They've never been to the beach. But we were able to take them to Santa Monica Pier, take them to the beach. They've never been to Disneyland, so we were able to take them there. Let alone with the competition that they did outstanding. They came in superior to everyone else. A lot of our students were singled out as top musicians that day. And one student in particular was one of those first students. If it wasn't for the band booster fundraising, that student probably would not have been there because his family couldn't afford it. But again, these are things that all these families go through to get their students to be there first. And without any kind of financial support, it's very difficult to do that. Imagine the football team, the baseball team, the basketball team, working out all year round, and then not playing against another school. It makes no sense, because you can't measure your ability to excel in that sport if you don't play anybody, right? In band, it's the same thing. If they can't leave the campus to go perform at other schools, at other colleges. Oh, and by the way, last year when we went to that trip, we went to Cal State Northridge. That's a school that Mr. Smith graduated from. And we were able to take these kids for the first time to a college campus. So they get that exposure there too. But again, what I'm getting at is that's the value the band brings to a lot of these families, a lot of these students. And without the necessary funding to support them, a lot of these students would be lost. I can proudly say with my 4 kids, 2 of them have already graduated Monterey Trail. One just did his junior recital at San Jose State. He got a scholarship to continue his music studies there. Our other son is still playing music over at Summers River College. My freshman is still at Monterey Trail, and my youngest is over at Ed Harris. She eventually will come over to the band as well too. So I appreciate your time. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. And we did receive one more blue card for this subject matter, so I will call on Dorothy Davidson.
Thank you, and I apologize for being so late. Like all of us, we have children that have activities. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I don't know a lot about budgets. I do know a lot about the activities, but what I wanted to talk to you about was an investment into the music program, and that investment, how it just spans 100-fold. Personal experience. My son was hospitalized at the age of 12, and we were told he would never walk again. He had a condition where his pain scale was off the charts. 10 plus is what they would say for complex regional pain syndrome. Morphine can't even touch it. We had nurses and doctors crying sometimes because they didn't know how to treat him. Then in comes Kathy Lorenzato, who is the child life specialist who converted that job into basically a music and arts and therapy program. She brings in this keyboard, teaches him how to play. I think it was the entertainer. And within 2 to 3 minutes, his heart rate dropped from 130 to about 100. And it might not seem like a lot, but it was my older son who noticed this, and he was so inspired by this music therapy, which dropped the 10 plus pain level down to an 8, that Joshua decided to donate some of his time to the Children's Hospital and play his saxophone, and brought his sister along, who was only 10 years old, to play the flute. From my experience at the hospital, we got a chance to meet people who had children with leukemia, people with chronic diseases, and each of them benefited from this music therapy program. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is how special it is for these educators that you have here in the music program. Many of them are asking for the funding, but what they're doing is that they're also inspiring the children to become better people, just better citizens. During the time that Steve and I had to drive back and forth to Stanford, because that is where Ian ended up getting better therapies, in order to get him healed, I was scared to death. My son went from a private school, which was Bradshaw, to Sheldon, and I'm thinking, if he messes up because he's going from a 200 class graduating students to Sheldon, where you have about 600 students you're dealing with, and I was worried about influences, just as parents normally are. But when I asked him how he was doing in school, he said, "Mom, I love the music program. We got to get going. One thing that Maz always tells me is that if you're 15 minutes on time, then you're on time. If you're on time, you're late." And it was just that type of character development that made me realize how Maz was able to go ahead and not just inspire him, but also kind of guide him and take care of him during that freshman year. So many things could have gone wrong, but they didn't, because I think he saw something in my son and was able to help inspire him and lead him, just as he has done with a lot of the other students. And I apologize for talking so quickly, but there's just so much there that I want to let you know. I'm not a music educator. I'm not a music student, even though I wish I would have been. I'm just a parent who's letting you know that if you invest into the music program, there are so many people out there who will give you back so much in return, like Laura Delight, who's now one of your teachers. I guarantee you, you will reap the benefits if you're able to invest in the program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, that is the last of the blue cards on VAPA. And before I go on to the other blue cards, I do want to make just some comments, and then I will bring it up for appropriate discussion later in the agenda. But for the benefit of the parents that are here, rather than asking you to stay for perhaps another 2 hours, I think it would only be fair to at least make a comment. But first and foremost, I hear you. I hear you. I, too, am a band mom at Cosumnes Oaks High School and Pinkerton Middle School. I know firsthand of the benefits of what music education provides. My son had open heart surgery when he was 2 days old. And we were told by the doctors, that I'm going to try not to cry, that he could never really participate in conventional sports because of the trauma it causes to his chest. But as a parent, you always want the best for your child and want them to be part of a team as they go through their educational career. And for me, it was very important to have him be part of something, have that sense of belonging. And band provided that. He has a family, he has a home. So I hear you, and I will be bringing this up later for discussion. But I think my true walk away, and I don't know what speaker said this, but it really struck a chord. And that is, music is the textbook, and an instrument is the desk. I think no truer words were spoken this evening, so thank you all for taking the time.
I'd like to say something. Did you say something?
Ms. Chaitis Espinosa.
Madam Chair, thank you. Like you, I will reserve most of my comments for discussion later on, but I would like to thank the parents for their very thoughtful and obviously well-prepared testimony, and in addition to the ones who are here tonight, all of the ones who took the time to send us emails as well. I don't think that that we, or certainly I, needed to be persuaded intellectually of the benefits of band programs and art. But I definitely appreciate the inspiration to revisit these issues as we're working on the budget and to make sure that we are providing equity between sports and arts and things of that nature. So thank you so much for coming here, taking the time, and bringing this top of mind for us. Thanks so much.
Mr. Perez, I believe you wanted to say something? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Martinez-Larry.
I also would just like to thank you all for coming before us tonight. Again, it gives us some thoughts for discussion later on. And I can also speak to the importance of music and see that appreciation there. Growing up culturally and traditionally as a Native American Miwok, California dancer, I know how important music is, especially with different populations as well, and having access to opportunities. So again, I want to thank you for your comments. A lot of those had resonated with me as well. So thank you.
Go
ahead, Mr. Perez.
Whew, you got it right here. Thank you very much. This board needed to hear that. I myself have been proposing to reinstate program cuts, 2007, 2008 program cuts and salary, and there's priorities. My priority was reinstate all children programs, support programs. But I learned you need 4 votes of the 7 board members. I'm very pleased that you came here and talk about equity, but it's not happening in our school district. I'm the first one to tell you that. I witnessed it as a student. I witnessed it as a teacher, educator, at the legislator's office downtown, and I've seen it here too. I'm very impressed how you have tonight advocated for your students and how it's going to affect our community. That's what we need. Not only that, we need to go to our city council to put in 1% maybe tax rate hike, just like you see.
Mr. President.
Hold on. I'm tired of you interrupting me.
You need to keep
yes,
focused.
This is focus. We need more tax money. We need to spend more money on our students. Reinvest, like you said, in our students. And that's what I'm talking about. Like the city of Davis, California. They do a South tax. They get more money for their students. As a result, again, I will say that again, people go to there because it's a good school. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Forcina.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. I'd also like to thank the parents for coming forward tonight and all those who have been sending emails and were not able to be here tonight. The issues you have brought up tonight and in the emails are very poignant, and I can say that the members of the board certainly are aware of the parallels between student performance, student attendance, and their participation in activities like the various arts. But the issue you bring up is a bigger issue than band. It's visual and performing arts. It's all that we do in all of our schools. Once again, at our last budget workshop in March, we talked about the enhancement of our visual and performing arts program. And because of a lack of data with respect to what we are doing comprehensively K-12, the recommendation was made and subsequently accepted that for the coming school year, 2016-2017, that we do take a comprehensive look, K-12, at what we are doing, both in the areas of visual and performing arts, so that we can make decisions about what should our arts program look like in this school district and what will it take us to get there. That being said, the budget decisions have been made for 16-17. That does not prevent this board from making an augmentation to existing middle school and high school programs. Ms. Singh-Allen said we will discuss this later in the area in which we can do that, but certainly we have the ability to provide one-time funding until we have all of the data for a long-term solution. So thank you. A little information for you. We're not to let you know, we're just not sitting on it, but I can appreciate the immediate need from your perspective to get it addressed. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? We're good? Ms. Albiani, you wanted to say something? Okay.
I think a lot of things have been said, but I do appreciate as a busy parent your time and your effort that you take. I have 4 children as well, and I think we all work very hard in this district to take care of all of them, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I just want to mention the visual arts. I think all my colleagues have covered it all. The arts programs and the music is very important to us, and we're looking at that very strongly as we move forward.
All right, thank you. Thank you, parents. All right, we have other blue cards speakers. We have, again, forgive me if I mispronounce the name, Amonza Chrisman. All right.
Hello, my name is Amonza Chrisman. I am 10 years old and a 4th grader at Dillard School. I have been in the Indian education program for 4 years. I have learned how to dance, drum, and make it rattle. A clapper stick. I want to invite you to our spring gathering on May 11th at 6 p.m. so you can see us do our play. Thank you.
Thank you. Outstanding, young man. Very thoughtful. Yes? Okay. Very good. Thank you so much. All right, next up we have Clinton Chrisman.
I had to bring Amonza with me. He's the youngest of my sons. He's been in the Indian Ed program going on 6 years now. When he first came into the program, you couldn't get him away from the seat over there. He was very quiet, and now he's a man of many words. I had a big old thing set to present to you guys, and I really got touched by the VAPA people there. Being Native American, music, dance is all part of our culture, and it's made a difference in my kids and all mine. My other ones are right now practicing for the play that they're going to do for you guys at the spring gathering. So the purpose I came here today is to give you guys a formal invitation to come to our spring gathering. The kids will be performing there. Spring gathering, we do a spring gathering, and then we do a fall gathering. The spring gathering is my favorite because this is when we acknowledge all our students for their graduation, from kids going from kindergarten to first grade, sixth grade to seventh grade, and our high school kids going into college. And it's a very special time, and we like to present thanks to the parents, the educators, the school board for all their support that we get from you guys every year, and for the district. People like Ms. Cherry over here that's been with us for ever since I've been around. That's 11 years here with the Indian Ed program. And I bring you thanks and greetings from the parents and the students of the Indian Ed program. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, next up we have Nia Scheiber. Okay, now my understanding is you want to waive your 3 minutes and have your wife use those 3 minutes? That's what's indicated here? No? Oh, okay, that's fine. Then let's have Mr. Cameron. Is it Scheiber? Schieber? Scheiber. Thank you. You can go first.
Members of the board, President Singh Allen, good evening. I'd like to read a couple codes and policies before the board. The Board of Education, recognizing that we are a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multilingual school district, believes it is part of our mission to provide a positive, harmonious environment in which student unity and the respect for the diverse makeup of the school community is promoted. Human dignity is reflected in attitudes and behaviors towards others and self. Human dignity is characterized through respect, sensitivity, and care exhibited in the interaction of staff and students. A major aim of education in the district is the development of a reasoned commitment to the core values of a democratic society. In accordance with this aim, the school district will not tolerate behavior by students, staff, or visitors which insults, degrades, or stereotypes any race, gender, disability, physical characteristics, ethnic group, sexual orientation, age, national origin, or religion. In all actions as a school board member, the member's first commitment is to the well-being of our youth. His or her primary responsibility is to every student in the district. In early April, some policies we feel were not just overlooked, but in fact, completely disregarded. My name is Cameron Schreiber. Me and my wife, Nia, have been involved in the Elk Grove Unified School District for 17 years with our 3 children. We are thankful they have been enrolled here. We acknowledge and understand the commitment that they have both academically and socially. And we are fortunate that they have excelled in each, for it is they who brought these issues to us. But it isn't just about them, it's about all students. Not once have we felt so passionate about the negligence or wrongdoings in our schools to ever voice, as we do tonight. We stand before you as a concerned community with the events that took place on April 1st at Franklin High School. Given the amount of only 3 minutes time allowed, my wife Nia will be addressing the issue in greater detail. But I will leave you with this. What you're about to hear, we ask that you pay close attention, because we as parents always are. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Nia Scheiber. And it is my understanding that Larry Edwards is yielding his 3 minutes to Nia, yes? All right, so in that case, I will honor that, and you have 6 minutes.
Thank you very much. I've never done this before, so please forgive me. Fortunately, I've never had to do this before. My husband already went through what I was going to say firsthand, so let me just get to, I want to talk about the definition of a rally. When I looked it up, it says, to come together for common action or effort. I want to go into you Friday, April 1st, when my daughter came home from school. This is a 14-year-old who's really interested in her outfit, her makeup, her hair, her phone, social media. I have to pull her down to usually talk to me. She comes running to me, walking in the door. Mom, oh my gosh, Mom, something crazy happened at school today. Oh my gosh, what? Mom, it was crazy. We had a black light rally, and wait a minute, what is a black light rally? Well, it's a rally that we come together in spirit, and it's Star Wars and dancing and cheerleaders and what have you. But Mom, they started the rally off with Donald Trump. What does Donald Trump have to do with this rally? I don't know, Mom. I don't know, but everybody started reacting. Everybody for like 30 to 45 seconds, they were chanting, racist, 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 boo. All kinds of derogatory names for 30 to 45 seconds. I said, what do you mean you don't know? What was the whole content of the rally? Where were all the teachers? She said, some were there, even the VP. I said, wait a minute. This was happening, and not one adult in that room had alarm bells going off. What did they do? Mom, they just turned the lights off and moved forward. Are you kidding me? That happened. Unfortunately, it was Friday after school. I couldn't do anything about it. I have to wait Saturday, Sunday, and I find myself in the office first thing Monday morning. I asked to speak with the principal. I am told that I have to have an appointment. I didn't realize you had to have an appointment. I said, that's unfortunate. Gosh, I have the whole day to talk to somebody about this and do something about this. Well, Ms. Schreiber, would you like to speak to the vice principal? I said, actually, I understand and respect the chain of command, but in this situation, it involves the vice principal's decision-making. Therefore, I would like to speak with the principal. I'm sorry, Ms. Schreiber, the next available appointment is for tomorrow. I said, I have to work. She said, okay, well, let me take your name and number. Let me see if I can have her give you a call. I said, okay, thank you. I said, well, if that's the case, in the meantime, is it possible that I have an opportunity to look at this footage in its entirety? All I have is one student's Snapchat clip, about 9 seconds. And in order to have a fair and open discussion, I'd like to see the whole thing. Because we know students can tell you one thing and it can be something different. She said, okay, I've never been asked that question, but let me look into it and I'll be happy to call you back on that. I said, thank you. I go to my car. I call my husband. I get a voice message while I'm talking to my husband. It's the vice principal. Hi, Ms. Schreiber, this is so-and-so. I understand that you'd like to view the footage of the rally in its entirety. I'd be happy to assist you with that, right? So I thought, gosh, it's not who I really want to talk to, but he's the one I have to go to view the footage. I have to put my big girl pants on and go do it. I call him right back. He doesn't answer. I said, well, he just called me, so I'll walk myself in and go speak to him. I walk in. His secretary is unaware that he's called me. As I'm explaining, he walks in and says he'd be happy to help me. We start walking towards his office, and he said, I understand you'd like to see the footage of the rally. I said, yes, I would, in all fairness. He said, oh, I can tell you that's not necessary. I can tell you exactly what was on it. So he never showed it to me. He redirected the conversation. He told me that the second part of it was, in fact, Star Wars, and after that was all this entertainment. The first part did, in fact, happen to be one presidential candidate. He said that it was merely the lines of turn off the lights, turn off the lights. He told me that I was choosing to overthink it, that nothing about it was political. I said to him, he said that 3 students came up with the idea, and yes, in fact, he approved it. But he found it to be clever, creative, and current. I said, okay, I understand that students might have came up with that idea, but the very reason that you're here is to think things through that they might not be capable of. Why would you have approved that and subjected our children to that when we have adults acting crazy? This is a highly volatile political candidacy right now. Why would you subject our children to that? Ms. Schreiber, I'm telling you, you're choosing to overthink this. There was nothing political about it. Well, then why didn't you just use a song or something else? And the very minute that it happened, the very minute that you saw these kids chanting that, and there was hate in the room, you turned the lights off? How many alarms must sound before someone other than me takes action? Please, please help not just me, but my daughter and all other children that this affected that day. Please.
Ms. Duran, did you want to still come up? Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back.
I don't even know what to say now. I'm shocked. Thank you. It has been a while. Good evening, board members. President Allen. I just want to say, everyone knows me in town, if they know me at all. They know me from my car that's all painted up with Stop Common Core, and they think I'm the Common Core lady, and I'm all about education. I'm not. I'm not an issue-driven person. I'm a person who's driven to take back our out-of-control government. That is my focus. But people know me as the Common Core lady because my car is still all painted up with Stop Common Core, okay? I haven't driven my car for 3 weeks. My car is in repairs. I'm driving a different car, but I still have people coming up to me saying, I recognize you, you're the Common Core lady. What do I need to do to opt out, my kids out of the test? Now we're at testing time. We've got testing, I guess, in the next 3 weeks or so. I'm not paying all that much attention to Common Core in this district or any other district in particular at this moment. But what I am paying attention to is the fact that I have parents coming up to me asking me how to opt out when it's the district's responsibility to notify the parents of their right to opt out of the testing. So I really, since testing is on us now, I have personal friends whose children are young children that need to be, the parents need to be informed of their right to opt out. I don't think anybody wants me to get started again with my campaign on opting out, because it's not really my focus right now. But I actually am going to insist that we actually create some sort of a form for an opt-in to the test. You have a right to opt out of the test, but I think we might go a step further and say, let's have you opt in, or the parents, notify the parents of their right to opt out of a test that will cause harm to them and their teachers. If we have board members still, I'm sorry, I haven't seen you in a year or so. If we have board members still and staff who are still unaware of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about harm from the test, then you don't have enough information. You can't say that you haven't been told. You can't say that the information isn't out there, because we have a country on fire over this issue. Please inform families. Make an announcement. However, whatever we need to do to get parents informed of their right to opt out of the test. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Duran. That concludes our blue cards. Anybody have any questions? Okay, we're moving on then. Oh, Ms. Chaitis Espinosa.
So the rules don't allow us to actually engage with people who make public comment, but I do feel compelled just to make a statement because I think the issues raised were very serious. First off, as a parent, I understand the desire to protect our children from experiences that they might find upsetting, and I want to say, just like with the parents who talked about visual and performing arts, I appreciate the parents who come here and bring issues to our attention. Any parent that is that engaged is an asset not just to their children, but to our community and to our district, so thank you for that. I wish, just like the rest of the community in Elk Grove Unified, that we could insulate our students from the divisive tone of national politics. And I do think that whenever politics comes up in the context of public education, we do need to proceed with caution. But my job as a school board member is to take a step back from the emotion and to find out a little bit more. So I did take the time to speak with the principal at Franklin High School. My information, and particularly my questions, were about, was this presidential candidate presented in a way that was mocking or that was negative, that was advocating for or against in either way? Finding out that the presidential candidate, the video clip, was used to kick off the rally. The exciting point was when the lights were turned off and the students themselves found a relevant current clip of a national figure that said turn off the lights, was not something I found to be mocking or inappropriate, which would have raised concerns for me. I don't think it was reasonably foreseeable that the students would react the way that they did. So that's another important line for me. You know, kids are always learning, and we as a community of educators are always looking for teachable moments. But we as the Elk Grove Unified School District are aware that kids are learning even when they're not with us. So when they're home listening to talk radio or television news with their parents, fortunately and unfortunately, they come to school and repeat some of those comments that they hear. You know, talk to the parents of our Muslim and Sikh students to get some reaction about what that experience is like for their children. It's unfortunately, it's difficult. It challenges our ability to maintain a feeling of safety and security for all of our students. The school climate is important, and maintaining that safe, secure environment for all of our students is our responsibility, and I personally take that very seriously. But that doesn't mean that we can or should censor our students. So I will commit to ensuring that we do not use public resources to advocate for or against any candidates, and I will commit that it is part of our job to ensure that our students learn how to communicate in a respectful manner. And Mr. Schreiber, thank you for pointing out exactly what our goals are. A positive and harmonious environment, a respect for human dignity. That is what I believe that we teach, and we will certainly ensure that we continue to do that. It does put us as a community of educators in an awkward position when the tone of the national political discourse doesn't abide by those same standards. And whatever's going on in the world, the students bring in to school, unfortunately. So we encourage civic engagement, especially among students who are close to voting age. And frankly, I applaud any of our young people who are engaged in public policy and passionate about what's going on in the world. You know, I don't view it as appropriate for the board to control or try to control their opinions. These are our future leaders, and I, for one, take seriously the responsibility to help them communicate those thoughts and to engage in political discourse. And I just want to reaffirm my commitment and to encourage my colleagues on the board to protect free speech and to encourage civic engagement among our students.
Thank you. Please maintain decorum. You had your opportunity, ma'am, to speak. Thank you. Thank you. No, ma'am. Ma'am. Please, maintain decorum. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Ma'am, you had the opportunity to speak. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, what a shame we can't count on you who we've elected for our children. Thank you, ma'am. We're moving on the agenda. Next up, we do not have an LCAP update this evening. We are going to go to bargaining units. Any bargaining units have anything that they would like to share? Ms. Deutsch, welcome.
Break?
Let her go and then break.
Wait, not after this. I think it's good. Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Good evening, President Bobby Singh Allen, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Alvarez. Mary Deutsch, CSEA.
Sandra Barrero, Labor Relations Representative.
I'm up here to thank the board. I'm here thankful for Mr. Hoffman to go and initiate for us to all come back to the table. It's going to be a lovely table for negotiations, and that can only happen because of you getting started the talks, and for Evelyn Leluan, our Director of Classifieds, to make the conduit of talking again, and also of David Riley, our Associate Superintendent of Human Resources. Some of the things that I think that when we come to the talks, and I did have a chance to go out and talk to the representative, Karen Revendez, and I said this is a great time for us because I know that you all had a chance to go and do IBB training. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend, but because I firmly believe, and I told Karen this, that we get to have a reset button here, and that means that we get to start over again and we get to be productive again. And to be productive is no longer doing a fist and pounding it and waiting for something to happen. Now we are going to do listening, we're going to do understanding, we're going to do I forgot. We're going to do understanding. We're going to do support of each other. We're going to be respectful of each other. And most importantly, we're going to be collaborative. And this isn't going to work anymore. This is. Because the only way that we're going to go and talk and be together as a collaborative persons and people and group and community is if we have an open hand. And that open hand helps with having an agreement. And the agreement starts with a handshake. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Any other bargaining units wish to speak? All right, we're going to take just a little three-minute break just to go to the restroom and sort of recollect our thoughts and our emotions. So see you in a few minutes. Where's Carmine? Maybe he went to the restroom. Mr. Fortuna is, okay, there he is. Is Mr. Pierce here?
I had to get sweetened up after that.
He's next on the agenda. I mean, I could go on and come back. Yeah, so let's, all right. We will resume. We will resume our meeting. And next up, we do have our EGUSD Community Facilities District #1 Special Tax Bonds, Outstanding Bond Refunding Opportunity, and New Money Borrowing. Mr. Pierce.
Thank you very much, President Singh-Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. As the Madam Board President pointed out, we are going to give you a report tonight regarding the recent sale of our certificates of participation, which occurred on April 6, 2016, and that was pursuant to board action granted to staff on March 15, 2016. So I must say that Ms. Ranieri with Government Financial Strategies will be joining me tonight, but we're very excited and happy and delighted to report out to you tonight in terms of the overall results of the certificates of participation sale. The refunding associated with that has far exceeded our projections and the level of savings that we had previously presented to the school board in February when we were devising this plan to move forward with this sale. So not only did the savings generate a reduced tax rate to our taxpayers, but it also gave us a very unique opportunity to address district needs in terms of 2 schools at opposite ends of our district spectrum, one at Anatolia 2 and one at Laguna Ridge, City of Rancho Cordova and the City of Elk Grove, respectively. So as you well know, the level of savings it has achieved is going to allow us to, 1, save the taxpayers significant dollars, but 2, help us with the coverage ratio of our tax income relative to our outstanding debt, and also give you the opportunity moving forward to issue remaining authorization that you have in Measure A sooner than you would have otherwise realized. And then finally, what you're going to see tonight as a result of not only the significant savings, but the logic around being creative and thinking outside the box and refunding outstanding CFD bonds with certificates of participation in lieu of additional CFD bonds also has generated us significant savings. So I have to say it's really an honor to be part of this team and to be part of a district that has the wherewithal and the creativity to think outside the box and do things a little differently and put a plan in place that not only is proper fiscal stewardship, but at the same time has saved us tremendous dollars, but generated new dollars at the same time in a very unique time of no state funding, of a condition where we're not able to build the schools we need, and put together a strategy that also allows us to start construction on 2 needed schools as well this spring. So with that, I want to thank Ms. Ranieri and her staff, as well as Mr. Fagan and his staff. My staff, it takes an entire team. And besides all this, there is a tremendous amount of work that's happening behind the scenes, both pre-sale and post-sale. Mr. Hoffman and I have a lot of documents we'll be signing tomorrow. But it takes a lot of time and a lot of teamwork. So I want to thank Ms. Ranieri as I invite her to the stage.
There's a little bit difference in our heights. Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here to present some really great news and some interesting things about what happened in this sale. And as you might recall, we did have an invitation to all interested parties to attend the sale, and we had a party of 1, but that party of 1 was Mr. Pierce, so he pretty much fills the room. So I'm going to begin with a quick market update and then describe the process of selling the certificates, and then share with you the results of selling we give these certificates a name. They're called the 2016 Refunding Certificates of Participation. Now, we could call them Charlie, but there's actually kind of a naming convention, and so that's their name. And then we're going to review the district's use of Government Finance Officers Association best practices, and then conclude. And then in your packet, you have the presentation from February 16th for your reference. So one of the things that's really important is that we let the market speak for itself. And I just love the Dilbert cartoon, and especially the fact that Dogbert is the CEO. And he says, we're getting into the financial services game. That way all of our products can be imaginary. And then later a customer says, can you give me reliable investment advice? And the company representative says, as far as you know. Well, the key to having an effective process is that the process is completely transparent and it allows the market to present the pricing. It's not being told to you through an intermediary that you can't trust, although there is an intermediary because the bonds are bought by brokers. So the first thing to share with you is that the benchmark index has been declining. This is the bond buyer index. It's a single interest rate representing 20-year maturity AA bonds, and it's published every Thursday. I've been tracking this since 1984, almost 1,600 data points. And you can see that since our original CFD bonds were sold, it's dropped, although at times it's gone up. It is pretty volatile. But one of the things that was very nice that has happened since we started planning this refinancing is it kept going down. And that makes me happy because I work on the borrowing side, but I know it's of concern to Janet Yellen. So let's focus on what happened on Wednesday, April 6th at 9:05. So we always hold the sales in our office at 5 minutes after, either 9:05, 9:35, and the reason for that is kind of fun, which is it's a vestige of the old days where things were not quite as computerized, and sometimes our bidders had a potential of being late, and we didn't want the best bid to be late by a minute and not be able to take it. So we'd always tell people verbally 9 o'clock, but we'd bury in the legal documents 9:05. Now, we don't get to have that kind of fun because it's all computerized and the bidders use a bidding platform called Ideal, also not that creative a name, and it prompts them to make sure they get their bids and it actually helps them with their bids. But it's kind of fun and all our bidders know that it's always going to be 5 minutes after. So it just makes it fun. And why do we want it to be fun? Because everybody who's bidding is not only bidding on other bonds in the primary market the same day, but they can buy bonds in the secondary market, and there's many more bonds available in the secondary market than we're selling in the primary market. So we want to get their attention. We want to make it a good experience for our bidders. So one way of thinking about this is our bidders are our customers, at least on sale day. So all the underwriters who subscribe to Ideal are notified, plus sometimes we'll give a special notification to somebody that we think would be particularly interested. But all the major players subscribe to Ideal, and pretty much anyone we've ever heard of. But there could be somebody who we haven't identified, and I think I may have shared with you, I know I shared with Rob the story of when I received a bid from a firm I never heard of, and I doubted their ability to do business with our school district client. And they sent me their financials. Turns out they were the private brokerage firm formed by the Walton family. They don't want to mess with paying commissions to somebody else. So I had to accept their bid. Anyway, pretty much anybody in the market for municipal bonds subscribes, and so they're notified. Thank you. Usually I'm shouting so loudly, that's not necessary. But I know you're probably recording. So anyway, we have a preliminary official statement which you approved. The word preliminary goes away once everything is final, and it just becomes the official statement, another creative aspect of our marketplace. And what you approved didn't have any numbers in it. All those numbers go in after the sale. So it was a prospectus before the sale, then afterwards it's the documentation of the sale and all the numbers are filled in. And then there's a bid document, purchase contract, etc. And it's also posted in the bond buyer newspaper sale calendar. And the bond buyer is, I would be flattering them to say it's sort of the Wall Street Journal of the municipal bond business, but it's the newspaper of the municipal bond business. And one of the things that's really important in our sale is that we're very flexible on bidding requirements, because what we want is the lowest interest rate. And what's interesting is the bond business is very traditional, and there's a lot of mathematical requirements that we still see in a lot of other bond issues that are vestiges of the pre-computer days when you couldn't do all the calculations that we're able to do on the day of sale. And we just take all those away. We let people bid how they want because we want the best bid. And more competition means that we get better results. And look at what we got. 7 bidders. And some of these names might be quite familiar to you. I'm sure you've heard of Wells Fargo. I'm sure you've heard of Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America. Maybe you've heard of Raymond James, but I bet you haven't heard of our number 1 bidder, Mesro Financial. And we know of them. They're a market player. They typically buy junk bonds. And so when you say, what's a municipal junk bond? Have you heard about Puerto Rico not making its bond payments? That's been in the news. That would be considered a municipal junk bond because it's impaired, right? And some people will buy those hoping to get paid later and get a really good yield in the meantime. In any case, Mesro very rarely steps in to a highly rated offering like Elk Grove's, but they did. And one of the reasons they did was that the CFD bonds carry a triple B plus rating, but our certificates of participation got into the A category. That's a really strong category for municipal bonds. Most general obligation bonds that are sold by school districts in the state go with an A rating. So Mesro got really excited about this, and they were our winning bidder. And it's really important to recognize we wouldn't have picked them based on qualifications. If we had done an interview, we would have said, what's your experience in selling certificates of participation? They wouldn't have had nearly the experience that any of these other players have, but they gave us the low cost. Now the next thing I want you to see is the dollar difference. When you see the difference between the number 2 bidder and the number 1 bidder is 2 places to the right of the decimal, right? It doesn't seem like a very big number, 3.11 compared to 3.19, but that is over $1 million of savings. And if you look all the way to the 7th bidder, it's almost a $4.3 million of savings that comes from having competition. Now, it's always possible that Bank of America wasn't trying to be that competitive and just tossed in a bid, but to me, I feel like it's the pressure of all those bids that makes that first place bid be so compelling. Now, our interest rates were well below our estimates. The blue line is what we were thinking in January for CFD bonds. Then the green line was what we said, well, heck, if we do a COP, this is where we will be, and we got all the way down to the purple line. And so those are all the different rates for the different maturities. And then here's what you can see what we converted. So we had the 2003 CFD bonds, the 05s, the 08s, they all were combined into this new COP, and you can see just how much lower all the rates were. So that's really significant, and what you're probably saying, okay, great with the rates, let's talk about the dollars. But before I do, I want to share something that's kind of interesting, which is about reoffering yield. So the underwriter buys at a coupon rate and pays a premium to adjust that coupon rate to a yield, and then reoffers that yield to investors. And we actually look at what the underwriters do with the bonds after they buy them from the district, because understanding what they're looking for helps us to do better with our sales. And so that's actually something that you've met Mr. Rich Malone of our office. He's very deeply involved in analyzing what happens on the other side. And that's one of the things about understanding the distribution chain. We want to know how Mesro makes its money here that caused them to give us the best bid, because we want to use that the next time you're selling. So we follow the market, and it does change in the market who are the dominant players and who's got, and it can change actually from one day to the next. If somebody won a big sale the day before, they won't be a good bidder the next day, right? Mesro probably wasn't bidding on something else this large that week because they had your certificates in inventory. The other thing that you can see is that what gets printed on the official statement is called the yield to worst. And if you're in the bond business, you know what yield to call, yield to maturity, yield to worst is. Yield to worst means if the worst possible thing happens for the investor, the bonds are called at the first call date, or they mature, whichever's lower. That's what's printed in the official statement, and so that's what you'll see. But what you pay is the coupon rates, and there's kind of something interesting here, which you'll notice that a lot of the maturities in the little box, if you can read that little coupon, they're actually at 5%, and that's way above market, and that gets adjusted with a bond premium. But investors really like 5% coupon bonds because it allows them to exploit a tax loophole. So there's all kinds of little stories in the market that caused people to behave a certain way. Now, ultimately, we had lower cost of issuance, we got a higher premium, and so we actually borrowed a little bit less. Instead of $109,970,000, we only borrowed $109,910,000, and you can see that our cost of issuance, everything, you can see where we save money. Our cost of issuance were a little bit more, but our underwriter's discount was less, and so on. So this just gives you all of the details, and these are all set by bidding on the day of sale. Now, let's get to the savings. I got ahead of myself. So we estimated that we would have $21.72 million of savings, and we would borrow the new money and generate $30 million for projects. And we're just thrilled that our actual savings exceeds $30 million. Now, this is one of those harmonious moments where the savings equals the money that we wanted. There's nothing magic. It just worked out that way. It could have been 29. I don't want to say it could have been 31 because I think we did as best as we possibly could. It's just a nice little moment when you see, my goodness, we saved 30 million and we were trying to get 30 million. That's just a great moment. And Rob and I, for those of you who did not come, we did go to lunch and celebrate this moment. So that was at my expense, but does not exceed what he's allowed to accept.
There's an ice water and a cheeseburger.
I'm pretty cheap. So in any case, we also wanted to show you how we fared in compared to the Government Finance Officers Association best practice. We were estimating that we would our present value savings would be equal to just under 14% of the bonds refunded. We got to over 28%, so just a phenomenal result. So what were the GFOA best practices utilized? There's 5 of them here, and the way we utilize them is that we're very familiar with them. We review them with staff, and all the decisions that we make are guided by them. So the conclusion is the district will save an average of over $1.2 million annually, total savings of over $30 million, and the strategic use of the certificates of participation rather than bonds was confirmed by the sale results, because it was getting into that COP category that got us into the higher rating category, and the actuals being so much better than estimates confirms that strategy in another way, which is very important, which is significant reduction in risk, because the less we have to pay back, the less of a liability we have, the less risk. So, of course, we had the $30 million generated for the new schools. So that is the presentation for tonight. Thank you, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone have questions? No questions? All right, fantastic, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have our consideration and public notice, excuse me, of CSEA's initial proposal to the district regarding collective bargaining for the 2016-2017 school year. Mr. Riley.
Good evening, President Singh-Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Excuse me. Pursuant to Government Code Section 3547, the following are stipulated for negotiations between a bargaining unit and the district. 1, the union's initial proposal is officially presented at a public meeting of the governing board for public notice, and 2, a public hearing is conducted to receive public input regarding the union's initial proposal. CSEA's initial proposal is attached in your materials. It is recommended that after the closure of the public hearing, the board take action to accept CSEA's initial proposal.
All right, thank you, Mr. Riley. I would like to call for a public hearing to receive comments on CSEA's initial proposal to the district regarding collective bargaining. All right, seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and call for a motion to accept CSEA's initial proposal to the district regarding collective bargaining for the 2016 and 17 school year. Motion to approve, Ms. Albiani.
Second.
Second, Mr. Madison. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. All right, discussion action items. We have Mr. Pierce. Adopt resolution of intention to convey an easement for Citizens Telecommunications Company of California, Inc. at the C.W. Dillard Elementary School site and set a public hearing for the easement.
Fairly straightforward item, not atypical for a new school project. In this case, Citizens is asking for a easement at the, gosh, I want to say the southwest corner. The bearings in the Wilton area get to me, but it's a nominal space of 15 by 20 feet in length and width. It is so that they can locate, repair, and make any changes necessary to their communication equipment moving forward. The adoption of tonight's resolution is simply the intention to convey the easement. It has been published in multiple forums in terms of the public hearing that we would ask you to also call for tonight, which would take place on May 3rd. So very standard, a nominal amount of area, and I would ask that you approve the resolution and be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Pierce? All right. I'd like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 57 and set a public hearing on May 3rd, 2016 at 9510 Elk Grove Florin Road in the boardroom at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Motion to approve, Ms. Titus Espinosa.
Second.
Second, Mr. Fortino. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, sir. All right, next up we have our Finance Committee vacancy. I will help facilitate this discussion. You were all tasked with reviewing all of the applicants and coming up with 2 names. First and foremost, I want to thank anybody who's interested in volunteering their time and engaging in district activities. So to everybody that has applied and is interested, I want to thank you personally at this time. I have a number of applicants that I think, honestly, there's so many that are qualified. So rather than put my 2 names forward, what I'm going to do is just sort of go round robin and see who's getting the most votes. And if you can, maybe just give a 1 or 2 sentences of why you think they would make a good candidate for the Finance Committee. So I will start with Ms. Albiani.
Thank you. I would like to put in Mr. Tom Berenston and Mr. Todd Watson.
Berenston, and I'm sorry,
And
Watson?
Watson, and I'll just be the start. We can
Okay.
move from there, thanks.
All right, Mr. Madison.
Okay, I have 2. I'd like to put in Mrs. I think Maritas Cruz.
Cruz?
Yeah, and the reason why I brought her name up, out of all our candidates, most of them show they're in Elk Grove, particularly in 95758s and 57 zip codes.
Okay.
This lady lives in a 95823. She's in Deer Creek Union House Elementary School. We have no representation over there, and she has kids in the school.
Okay.
And I think she could do a fine job for us.
And your second?
And the second one is Perneet Sharma.
Sharma?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, a 95824 zip code in the county of Sacramento. Has kids in the school, Irene B. West, and I think he could do a good job as well. Thank you.
Excellent, and one of the things that we definitely wanted to keep in mind when we make these recommendations is geographic representation, so that we are able to capture concerns from all areas. So moving on, I will go to Mr. Fortino.
Yes, I have 2. My first one is Mr. Joe Ayala. He has had children at Adriani, Albiani, Pleasant Grove. He's been on the school site councils. He has a strong finance and government background. My second recommendation is Colonel Robert Spano. Colonel Spano has children at Earhart and Eddy Middle School, as well as Elk Grove High School. He has a strong background in terms of serving this country, and he's a comptroller currently for the National Guard, and I would recommend Mr. Colonel Spando for consideration.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Perez?
Cruz and Ayala, for the same reasons that my fellow board member just mentioned.
Cruz and Ayala. All right, Ms. Ms. Martinez-Larry. I think I'm getting a cold.
So I as well want to put forth my recommendation for Joe Ayala. I believe he's been involved in numerous committees as well as involved in the Indian Education Program and has a strong finance background. And I also want to put forth Veronica Orozco as well. She seems like she has a strong background and experience in the California State Controller's Office as well.
Thank you, Ms. Chaides Espinosa.
I will repeat some of the choices that we've already heard. So I'd like to support Mr. Joe Ayala based largely on his qualifications.
Okay.
And Ms. Maritas Cruz based on regional representation.
All right, and my two, I had 5, and I think all of you, the majority, have captured folks that I had in mind. So for the interest of getting to a resolution on this, I will put my support in for Mr. Ayala and Ms. Cruz. So with that, we have a majority support for those 2 candidates with support, but single support for the others. So I will make the motion that we appoint Joe Ayala and Maritz Cruz to the Finance Committee.
I'll second.
And a second from Ms. Chaides Espinosa. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, that was efficient. Thank you. Okay, next up we have specifications of governing board member election resolution, publication of notice of election form, notice of election and certification of maps and boundaries. Mr. Hoffman.
It is that time of year to prepare for the November election, and so we're asking the board to adopt Resolution 58, establishing specifications for the November 8, 2016 governing board election. Specifications follow the practice of the board has followed for previous elections and includes consolidating the election with the presidential general election, limiting the candidate statement to 200 words with the candidate paying for the statement, and reimbursing the register of voters for the actual cost of the election. Also being requested for approval is a publication notice of the election, notice of district election, and certification of maps and boundaries.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Hoffman, at this time, if anybody have any questions? Yes, Mr. Perez.
Question regarding maps. I didn't receive any maps in our package.
Well, the maps are consistent with, there's no changes to the maps, so they're existing maps.
When are we going to consider going by district versus at large?
The board already took that under consideration last year and made a decision not to move forward with that at this time.
As I recall, it was just discussion, not an actual.
No, in fact, we can bring you the exact transcript of that board meeting. But there was consensus that we had the discussion, but we were not interested in bringing it forth after the presentation.
So you said the discussion was an actual action item?
No, it was just a discussion. The staff brought us information, we reviewed it, and we were not interested as a consensus. Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we vote by district versus
Can't make a motion on that.
No, this is not what we're up for discussion, and we've actually already settled that issue. So if you want to bring that back up for agenda, we've already discussed as this board that we're not interested.
Yes, I'd like to bring that out for next board meeting.
What I would suggest is maybe sharing the outcome of the board meeting that has the specifics.
Yeah, we can
already
put
settled.
together a board communication that goes over the information, what the board direction was. In order for it to become a board agenda item, I'll need direction from the board to do that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Yes?
Are you going to take that direction?
He is going to provide you with information. The board has already decided we do not want to have this up for discussion or up for action. We had the discussion. We had a...
Make a public record, I oppose that we run at large because to me that was just a discussion. It was not an action item to run at large.
Well, if any other board members feel that their feelings and interests were not represented.
And we should comply with federal and state laws that we should.
We are following state laws, but thank you for wanting additional information. With that, what we have before us this evening.
So you don't support it?
It's already settled. Nobody else did.
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I brought
He
the
brought
item
He
up.
brought the item, but it was 5-2.
And I sat alone
That's right.
with the issue.
Yes,
Mr.
I
Perez,
correct.
alone.
It was a discussion, it wasn't
I
action.
sat
Things start
alone
as discussions.
when the
And if-
consensus was requested. The consensus question was, are we satisfied with what we currently have? And it was 6-1 that we were satisfied with what we have. You were in the majority to leave things alone.
So if we can provide that information and perhaps the YouTube link with the timestamp of that discussion item, that would be great. With that, I will call for a motion to adopt resolution number 58, establishing specifications of the November 8th, 2016 governing board member election and approve the publication of notice of election, notice of district election, and certification of maps and boundaries.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Ms. Titus Espinosa. Second, Mr. Madison. All those in favor, please say aye.
Voice count.
Sure, roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain because I think we should go by district.
You cannot abstain, sir. It's either a yes or a no. There is no conflict of interest here. You've been provided information on the rules on when one abstains. And if you can cite specifically what your conflict is, otherwise you have to either vote yes or no.
Someplace in our agenda, we have a abstain vote block. So what's the difference between that?
No.
If I may correct by our board policy or add to it, an abstention is recorded as a yes vote when the majority is yes.
So is that your desire, sir?
No.
Okay, we got a no.
Carmen Forcina,
Yes.
Bobby Sing Allen.
Yes.
Chet Madison. Yes. Beth Albiani.
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Next up, we have a few action items here. I would like to call on Mr. Cerruti for the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I bring the board this evening an opportunity and a request, a respectful request, that the board considers adopting the resolution for Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Asian Pacific American Heritage Week began in 1977, and in 1978, President Carter signed a joint resolution designating this as an annual celebration. In May of 1990, the holiday was expanded further when George H. Bush designated May to be Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the United States in May 7th, 1843, and to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10th, 1869. The majority of the workers who laid the tracks were Chinese immigrants. Throughout the year, the contributions of Americans with Pacific Rim heritage are presented in the regular curriculum. However, this special focus for 1 month serves as a reminder of the combined contributions of this group.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cerruti. If I may, I'm just going to ask a point of clarification, not because I have any questions on this, but when we do these resolutions recognizing various groups and ethnicities, what happens after we pass the resolution? We send it out to all of the schools? When does it actually get down to the classroom level?
It does get out to the classroom level, and the classrooms are notified. Curriculum and professional learning and information goes out. It's embedded in our curriculum. The teachers are informed. They receive calendars of information that goes out. So we make sure that it does go beyond here and it filters down. And curriculum and professional learning through our steering committees are always looking at what we can do, and in particular to expand it behind some of the important things that we can do and the common recognitions. And by common, I don't mean that they're not important, but we try and go deeper every single year and actually embed this beyond the day, week, or month that it's designated.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. I would like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 56 that designates May 2016 as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Motion to approve, Mr. Perez. Second, Mr. Forcina. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, Mr. Cerruti again, Disability Awareness Month.
Thank you, ma'am. The Board of Education is requested to affirm the following resolution designating the month of May as a time for students and staff to increase their awareness of issues affecting persons with disabilities. Throughout the school year, in alignment with our mission statement that addresses all students, Elk Grove school-based programs and activities promote understanding of individuals with special needs. This resolution will establish May as a month where Elk Grove staff and students pause to further reflect on these issues and celebrate the similarities and differences that enrich our learning community.
Thank you, Mr. Cerruti. I would like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 59, proclaiming, I'm not done, May 2016 as Disability Awareness Month. So moved. Motion to approve, Mr. Perez. Second, Mr. Fortuna. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Riley, Classified School Employees Week.
President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. The California Legislature passed a measure in 1986 establishing Classified School Employees Week to recognize the valuable contributions and meaningful services that classified school employees make to our schools. In honor of this event, the Elk Grove Unified School District Board of Education is asked to approve Resolution 60, which establishes Classified School Employees Week for the Elk Grove Unified School District as May 16 to 20, 2016.
All right, thank you, sir. I would like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 60, establishing Classified School Employees Week as May 16th through the 20th, 2016 in the Elk Grove Unified School District.
Move approval of Resolution 60.
Motion to approve, Mr. Fortuna, and a second for Mr. Madison. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, Mr. Riley again, recognition of May 11th, 2016 as Day of the Teacher.
Yes, thousands of communities will take time out on Wednesday, May 11th, 2016 to honor their local educators and to acknowledge the contributions they make to our lives. While it certainly takes many people to make a school succeed, National Teacher Day focuses on the teachers who work to make public schools great places for students to succeed in life. The Elk Grove Unified School District Board of Education is asked to approve the attached resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. I would like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 61, recognizing May 11th, 2016 as Day of the Teacher in the Elk Grove Unified School District.
So moved.
So moved. Ms. Shidas Espinosa.
Second.
Second, Mr. Fortuna. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, next up, we have our board member and superintendent reports. Any board member wishing to report? Mr. Fortuna.
Good evening. I have 3 tonight. Been busy on committees.
Yes.
First one, last week we had LCAP Consultation Committee. As Marcus shared before, that is a committee that is not required, but is one that we decided, he decided was important to have. And we met. It was the final meeting of the year. Reviewed the year's work and made a decision that we would continue with that consultation committee, and the consultation committee will hold 3 meetings next year. Second one, yesterday we had a very successful 2x2 meeting with City of Rancho Cordova, and Chris and I were able to sit there beaming because we were able to orally share that we were going to move forward with Anatolia 2. Anticipate a great drop in the number of emails and phone calls, and that was positive news. The other thing we talked a little bit about, and it's really good, City of Rancho Cordova had approved a measure which generates monies that anyone in the community, basically organizations, but the community, can apply for, and Sunrise has benefited from those funds and will continue to submit proposals. And then the third, based on my work with Elk Grove High School FFA Steering Committee, we had the culmination last Monday of project awards for the projects that were developed by students in the Sacramento region. Now our region's a big region. It's El Dorado County, it's Galt, it's Liberty Hill. The schools that participated in our district were Pleasant Grove, Elk Grove, 3. Pleasant Grove, Elk Grove, and Florin participated in our area. But that was a good program, and students were really pleased with the recognition.
Any other board members have a report they would like to share? Mr. Hoffman? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Chaitis Espinosa?
So not a committee report, an announcement for an event that's coming up. So if anybody has committee reports, I'll hold off. I don't see anyone. So just very quickly, I'd like to call to your attention that this Saturday, April 23rd, we have a team of over 50 Elk Grove student athletes, all young men, who will be standing up to fight domestic violence and support and fundraise at the Weave Walk-a-Mile. So come on out to show your support. The walk actually starts at 1, but the event starts about 11:30. Yep. And these young men will be donning red high heels in solidarity with women and some of the things that we go through, or put ourselves through, I guess, in that case. We will also be joined by our very own superintendent, Mr. Chris Hoffman, because you know, you lead by example.
Fundraising opportunities at the Weave Walk a Mile in Her Shoes under Chris Hoffman. Feel free.
Yeah, please get him the biggest, the highest stiletto, please. The most painful one. So we just want you to understand.
Yeah, they are. Smart people make bad choices, apparently. But, you know, this is a great opportunity for team building and character education for our young athletes. So I'm thrilled that we have the high level of participation just in our first year of trying to gather a team from Elk Grove Unified. And hopefully we'll have a strong presence compared to some of the other schools and districts that are out there.
Thank you, Ms. Chaitis Espinosa. You know, my family's participated in that for years, and it is a wonderful event, and I'm so pleased to see our district and our superintendent leading that charge. It is obviously very worthwhile. Hopefully, you know, we're in a day where we don't need organizations like Weave, but the sad reality is that we do. So thank you for all that you do. My just quick, it's not a committee report per se. I am going to a CSBA LCFF working group. CSBA members from statewide will be present, and we review the LCFF and LCAP and see what changes, if any, we need to be making, and providing a strong voice collectively in those efforts. So I will be doing that. And then I also had the good fortune last week, so I apologized for my PI colleagues who attended the California Labor Management Initiative. As you know, I was at the White House for a press briefing on Indian American Sikh-related issues that impact all of us. There were a little over 100 members invited nationwide to participate, so it was a great honor to be selected as one of those leaders. And we definitely talked about educational issues, policy issues, business climate, and just different things that we needed more information and awareness. But something that was brought up time and time again was the need for expanded education as it relates to bullying and hate crimes, particularly you know, in a post 9/11 world. There are a number of communities that directly are being targeted. The Sikh community and the Islamic community have been subjected to horrible, horrible crimes throughout the country. So I'm very pleased that our district is very proactive in educating, and I definitely reminded my participants and attendees to get involved with their school districts and locally, because these issues are local, and that's where you need to have that collaboration with the schools to provide that education, because we really need to capture our students when they're young. But that is something that, you know, I think that we can always look at as a refresher of, are we doing enough? Because I do know that there are incidents that go unreported in both communities, but I am very proud of the work that we do. So thank you all for that. All right, Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, just a quick shout out, and Ryan, we have the classified and certificated retiree lunches tomorrow and Thursday, so looking forward to those events.
Thank you. All right, we are on to consent agenda. Mr. Forcina.
Yes, I'd like to move approval of the consent agenda items 1 through 23.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve agenda items 1 through 23. We have a motion to approve from Mr. Forcina and a second from Ms. Chaitis Espinosa. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, nothing was removed from consent agenda, so I will open it up for other items from the floor. Mr. Forcina.
Yes, I have one item. We heard tonight from interested parents, most of which were associated with BAN, Not too long ago, we had discussions at board workshop with respect to the enhancement of visual and performing arts K through 12. And the decision at that time was that since what we were discussing was comprehensive in nature, but lacking in data, we would look at the 16-17 school year for the purpose of generating data with respect to what are we currently doing K-12, where are we doing it, what do we want to do, and what will it take to get there. What that agreement said was that for the time being, we would continue with the level of funding. What I heard tonight, certainly from board members, is the sensitivity to the issue and the receptiveness of the concerns. So as one board member, and I know others will speak also, I'd like to have the issue of funding our visual performing arts programs back on the agenda for discussion. I know we lack the data to take a comprehensive look, so what I would like us to consider is one-time funding for existing middle and high school programs that doesn't conflict with the comprehensive look, but would address existing programs during that study year. I would like to, I usually do not put a dollar amount on anything, but since the request is coming for me, I would like to put an amount of $500,000 one-time money on the table for discussion for visual and performing arts existing programs that would be middle school and high school.
Thank you, Mr. Fortuna. Mr. Perez.
Yes, I'd like to get some history from staff, how much we funded prior to 2007, 2008, and your recommendations to fully implement this program from K to 12.
Are you you're talking, just for the record, you're talking
Yes.
about VAPA?
Yes, I'm talking about BABA.
No, that's the current reality of what we're doing. And so we've already been given direction by the board of doing a look at what we're currently offering, and making a recommendation of what we want to offer moving forward. So we're already doing that work, but that's a longer-term project working into next school year. So, but that's already, the board's already given us direction to move in that direction.
Are you?
But it won't be a short term. It's not something we're going to be able to turn around.
Well, I don't believe in the short term. We need a long term for this program.
Okay, that's okay. So we're heading that direction.
Ms. Chávez Espinosa? Are you done?
No.
Okay, hold on.
Another issue I'm concerned about that us as board members, there's new education law putting more pressure on states to serve English learners, and that is Every Student Succeed Act, which was signed by President Barack Obama. He signed it into law last month, includes important policies that recognize the need and diversity of English learners in an effort to close the ongoing achievement gap between them and other students. So I'd like you, as our superintendent, give us an update and what those new policies that we need to know that are going to be implemented in this new legislation.
Okay, so the act has been signed. They're still working through the regulations, and we're actually getting some regulations almost on a daily basis as they're going through an update. So we will have that report for you, but it is going to take a little while for Washington to decide what the regs are with relation to that. But that will be a report coming forward.
Well, it's my understanding. I came back from Washington. They already have regs, and so
they have some of the regs done. They've signed the piece of legislation. But once that's done, then what happens is staff has to go through and say, okay, so what does this mean, and how does this get implemented in school? So that's the work that's being done currently. So we will have that information for you as it becomes available to us. But it's been dealt with almost on a daily basis. We get a new report of some kind with regards to someone's interpretation of what the new legislation means.
Any other questions?
So I have a question of Mr. Perez to help me understand what it is his concerns are. We have a comprehensive K-12 program for English learners. What is it specifically that you believe that we are not doing that needs to be done? And then I could understand what you're talking about.
I did,
Because-
excuse me, I did not say.
Hold on,
Okay.
Mr. Perez, please let him finish so that you can have all of the facts before
Well,
you
this-
respond.
This is not the first time you've brought up questions about what this district is doing in response to legislation or actions people are taking or lawsuits or whatever. I have taken the time to meet with the people who are responsible for providing program. I have been to all of our educational sites throughout the district, and I've talked to people who are delivering service. So I'm comfortable in saying I feel pretty comfortable with what we're doing. What I don't understand is what you believe we're not doing. So I asked the question, what specifically, with respect to English learners, do you believe we need to do that we are currently not doing? Because I don't understand. I really don't understand the constant questioning, given my personal knowledge and the information I've developed from my visitations.
Go ahead, you may respond now, Mr. Perez.
Every day in the newspaper, Dan Walters saying, are we using this money correctly? And I support his idea and what he's saying in the newspaper. And I see other reports, California Together, they're saying that we're not using this money. I'll bring those reports to you next week. In fact, I have them right here. I can share them with staff. They're saying that we're not doing an adequate work, of services to English language learners. And the achievement gap is getting wider today as a result of that. And so, the only thing I'm concerned about, I have never said that we're not doing enough. I said, I want to do more than what we're doing now. We have the budget, we have the financial situation, but priorities aren't there. They're for infrastructure versus direct services. That's what I don't like. You know that. So that's what I'm putting on the table. This is the new law. I brought this out because, there's new law that's going to put pressure on states to serve English language learners with some policies in which you're not going to like, in which we're going to have to do, period. They're going to get new federal dollars, and there's going to be accountability to account for that monies. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, bottom line, that we need to serve these students a little bit better than we're doing right now.
So, sir, if I may.
And the other issue was the fact that last week or last meeting we had a discussion regarding federal dollars, mandates, and titles, and this and that. A lot of programs I think are being not funded. There's a lot of federal dollars out there that should be pursued. And I think we need to do a little bit better job in seeking those federal dollars, like English language learner programs. I go to these other school districts, and I see them doing a whole bunch more than what we do here in this district for English language learners.
Okay,
That's shameful.
You know what's shameful, sir? Is that you're spending time in other school districts and other schools versus.
I'm learning a lot what other school districts are doing.
Okay, hold on. It's my turn. Thank you. The other thing I have serious objection with is that we reviewed budget priorities that included various items in there that had a direct benefit for English learners, and you voted no.
Oh, I disagree with that one.
You voted no. It is a fact.
That's false. That's false.
You voted
I
no.
always
We can
supported
get you
English language learners.
We can
You
get
know that.
you. You were a no vote for that budget priority meeting. Anybody else would like to say anything? Ms. Chaitis Espinosa.
I was going to make a brief comment and then try to take it back to Mr. Fortina's point. So if someone else wanted to stay on this topic, I will defer. Okay. Where to begin? So just to be clear, since I read all of Mr. Walter's comments and all those EdSource comments, and I participate in Californians Together, you know, those are advocacy groups and journalists raising issues of statewide concern, and I think we need to differentiate between someone somewhere is not doing their job and Elk Grove Unified is not doing its job. Those are very different things. And, you know, the new reauthorization of federal ESSA, the new federal law, is going to primarily come down to us through the LCAP process and the LCAP rubric, which the state board is still working out, but whatever the new requirements are for English language learners and other things, that's primarily how we're going to receive them, together with the new regulations that Mr. Hoffman pointed out are still under development. Just having said that, I would very much like to return to Mr. Forcina's point. If I heard correctly, I think you were developing, Mr. Forcina, a proposal or a motion for the board to consider and give direction to staff regarding the budget process. If that's correct, I would actually like to expand that a little bit. So I'd like to add to the work going forward in the next year. I'm particularly interested in the equity issue. I would like some certainty for myself, and so that I could transmit that to parents in the district, that we are giving equitable treatment to the visual and performing arts and to athletics. You know, I think, you know, some of the parents who are involved only on one side may not understand that, you know, the athletic booster clubs and our sports teams do a heck of a lot of fundraising as well. That's fine. That's just an information gap. But I would like, just for my own certainty, and I think we need to be able to tell the community that we are treating those activities equitably and supporting them equitably. So I would like to add that to the request for that work going forward.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Yes, Ms. Martinez-Leary?
I just had a comment. I agree with what was said before regarding the music and performing arts moving forward. Eventually, I know the focus is on middle school and high school to see what can be done when we're projecting out to the upcoming year, you know, foreseeing that and looking at the budgetary, but also maybe eventually expanding that on later on to the elementary schools, of course, because that was a concern that was brought forth tonight as well. So I just want to make sure that's taken in consideration.
Anybody else? All right, I also echo 100% Mr. Forcina's comments. I would like to see a future agenda item to consider one-time money to fund VAPA band. And I do appreciate that the district will be doing a more comprehensive review of VAPA as it relates to K-12. But however, there are needs right now. As we heard, I've received over 20 emails, and then there were a number of people that spoke this evening. The band booster clubs, they pay somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000. That's just in Cosumnes Oaks alone to fund band. And then in Pinkerton, it's somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000. We can only buy so much cookie dough and gift wrap and popcorn to sustain these kinds of programs. I know firsthand as a band mom that those are very challenging tasks. And I want to make sure that we are providing students basic needs that include sheet music, instrument maintenance, uniform cleaning, unpaid transportation fees, new instruments, and so much more. I mean, the list is actually quite expansive. We have restored freshman sports, and I was a champion on that and leading the charge along with some of my previous board members because it was the right thing to do for children. So is VAPA and band programs. For me, it does come down to equity and fairness. I've been talking to a lot of band directors throughout the district, parents and students, about additional funding for VAPA. And I do applaud their patience, and the booster parents, their patience, and they've been waiting. They have been waiting patiently for their time, for their fair share. And I did encourage them recently, you know, through my various meetings, that while I've heard from you, and you have been very patient and thoughtful, my board needs to hear from you too, because we are responsive to the community's needs. I don't want our board to think for 1 second that this is not a top priority. We've all raised this as a priority during our budget priorities, but I wanted us to hear, just like we did with freshman sports, provide a platform for them to share, because people need to feel that they are heard, that they care, that they matter. And that is absolutely fundamentally important to me. I think my only regret is not being perhaps more vocal during our funding priorities to look at one-time monies, and I will accept responsibility for that, for not being more vocal during that process. We raised our interests, but really we could have looked at that issue during those meetings. And some things that, you know, I find that we need to factor into our decision making and really keep that in the back of our mind. President Obama signed what's called the Every Student Succeeds Act in 2015, making music a standalone subject. Every board member raised their interest for adequately funding VAPA. While the district reviews a comprehensive K-12 program, I am concerned we will continue to not provide for all of our students as we subscribe in our E4. Every student, every day, every classroom, we have a responsibility, and it is all students. I'm concerned that we are not meeting the intent of even Assembly Bill 1575 by requiring parents to fundraise to pay for band. That concerns me. So we can provide one-time relief as we look at a comprehensive look. Data, it does exist by way of the booster clubs of what they are paying for. All of this is documented, so we do have some data that we can use, at least as it relates to one-time funding. So again, I would like to echo my comments and share my comments with Mr. Forcina. I would like for this item to be brought up for board consideration for one-time funding for VAPA, band in secondary schools. Hearing no other items from the floor, I will, going once, going twice, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Madam President, we're going back into closed session, correct?
Oh, yes, we do have one. We have a closed session item that we did not finish, so I will ask my board to stick around for another 15 minutes. Our regular meeting is adjourned, but we are going to go back to closed session to finish up one of our items. Thank you for the clarification.